Thank you all so much, and also for the Nepali national anthem to Saya Untunga Fupa. Thank you all so much for today's performance as well of both anthems. And namaste everyone. As I mentioned before, I'm Council Member Shekhar Krishnan, representing proudly Elmhurst, Jackson Heights, Queens. And this is such a special day for all of us who are here, because it tells a story for the world over in many different ways. The Himalayas, the glorious mountain range, loom large in everyone's minds across the world, across countries and borders, an integral part of cultures and heritage for so many. I am proud personally to be able to host today's street naming as the first Indian American ever elected to our New York City government. And whether it be Nepal, Tibet, China, India, the stories of the Himalayas go way back as part of our traditions. I remember growing up in an Indian family too, learning the stories of how the Ganga River itself that went its way through India started as the Gangotri Glacier in the Himalayas. But within that mountain range, and there's so many stories of the different mountains, there is one that stands taller than the rest. And that is Mount Everest. Everest, the tallest point in the world, that invites everyone across the world, beckons those who dare to go on the journey that is all at once dangerous, terrifying, and awe-inspiring. A courageous trek up to the highest point of the world. Today, we reflect on that, but we do so by telling several stories. First is the story of Tenzing Norgay Sherpa, the first person to ever climb Mount Everest in the history of the world, who courageously led the expedition that we all know the world over. But his story, while told, has never gotten the full recognition that it is due. And so today, with our street naming, we make sure that Tenzing Norgay Sherpa Way gets the long-standing recognition that he has always been due. Today is also a story that we tell of our Sherpas, our heroic climbers, who are there for every expedition, fearlessly sacrificing, fearlessly leading the way. Whether it is at base camp, welcoming all those across the world who come to Mount Everest to scale its awesome heights. Whether it is deciding when is the safest point to make that journey. Putting the ladders down, being the first ones out front to trek. Whether it's from base camp, across the Khumbu Glacier, or up the Lhotse face, and ultimately up to the summit itself. The Sherpas have always led this way. And as we honor Mount Everest Day and the 70th anniversary today of Tenzing Norgay Sherpa's climb to the top of Mount Everest, we also tell the story of our fearless Sherpas. And in doing so, we tell finally the story of our incredible Nepali community. A community whose history, whose heritage, whose culture is so inextricably tied with the mountain itself. Whose history is known the world over, and whose story is also being written right here in this council district of Elmhurst, Jackson Heights, and Woodside. Today, we say thank you and owe a deep, deep debt of gratitude to our Nepali community With this street naming, we thank each and every one of you. This street naming is a testament to the power, the vibrancy, the strength, and beautiful culture of our Nepali community. So thank you all so much for making our city better every single day, for pushing it forward. Thank you. It is estimated that 225,000 people of Himalayan descent live in the New York metropolitan region, with the majority living in the borough of Queens, and I suspect right here in this council district and our neighboring council district. They include Sherpas and Tibetans, Nepalis, and every ethnic group from the region. They came here for a better future for themselves and their families, and they have flourished through their hard work, duties, and service to our communities. In recognizing the continued contribution of this community to New York, the Nepali community has shown why it is so important to name a street which embodies the grit, spirit, tenacity, and perseverance to the community, and a name which is recognized around the world. The one who personifies these aspirations is Tenzing Norgay Sherpa, who on May 29, 1953, along with Sir Edmund Hillary, became the first to summit Mount Everest at 29,028 feet. The iconic image of Tenzing Norgay Sherpa on the summit of Mount Everest is an enduring symbol of the human spirit, testing the limits of human endurance and going where no human had been before. It was the closest at that point that man had been to the moon. In 1999, Tenzing Norgay, along with Sir Edmund Hillary, were named together among Time's 100 most influential people of the 20th century. Tenzing came from humble beginnings and was determined to change the trajectory of his life through hard work and perseverance. It was on his 7th attempt on Everest that he succeeded on reaching the top where no person had been before. The culmination of a lifelong dream which changed his life forever. A story told to so many from our South Asian communities. If you grew up in a South Asian household, the name Tenzing Norgay Sherpa Way was known by you. After his great and famous summit, Tenzing Norgay Sherpa traveled the world, met world leaders, and was facilitated with the highest national awards. But he always came back to the service of his people. To this day, his achievement continues to inspire millions around the world. What he offered was hope. He made dreams more viable because many individuals felt that if the son of a yak herder could propel himself from the remotest area of the world to the top of the world, both figuratively and literally, then they could attempt to do so too. He put the name Sherpa in our lexicon and gave it the moral power, exemplifying hard work and good character that defines our Nepali community. He exemplifies the narrative, truly, of the Himalayan people and Himalayan culture. In February 2021, former President Barack and Michelle Obama's production company, Higher Ground, announced the making of a biopic on Tenzing Norgay Sherpa as one of the next greatest stories they will produce on Netflix. To this day, he is regarded as an icon, an inspiring figure, not just for our Himalayan communities, not just for our South Asian communities, but for all who strive to work hard to make their dreams come true and to scale to the top of any mountain they may dare to. I am so proud today to be joined by so many who have made this event possible. And in particular, I'm honored to be joined by 3 individuals who are the direct children, 2 are the sons of Tenzing Norgay Sherpa. Both who have come here, which is why we did this today. Let's give them a big round of applause. Both who have come here on the 70th anniversary to celebrate their father's street naming and honoring the 70th anniversary of his trek. It is my pleasure to introduce Tenzing Norgay Sherpa's sons, Mr. Norbu Tenzing Norgay Sherpa and Mr. Dhame Tenzing Sherpa, along with Mr. Dhame's wife, Sonam, as well. Please all come to the stage. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you, Councilman Shekhar. You've really made my job a lot easier in your tough act to follow. Sitting on this seat in front of me, I was looking at the wind blowing, I was looking at this video behind me, and I was wondering why I don't have a down jacket. I felt I was back home. But anyway, I'm really happy to be at sea level today, and namaste. Tashile to my entire community of friends who've come all the way from all parts of New York and elsewhere to join us this morning. Special thanks to the U.S. Nepal Climbers Association, the United Sherpa Association, and the Federation of Indigenous People of Nepal. And special thanks to Uginla, who was president, who was president of the association and really had a big part in making this day possible. And of course, thank you, Councilman and the Borough of Queens, for endowing us with this amazing gift. I'm joined this morning also by some members of my family, including my brother Dhame, who we just introduced. His wife and kids are here, my niece Digila, and my great lovely Banza Chiring Sherpa is here, as well as his wife and his sister Hakwa. Earlier this morning, there were big celebrations all across the mountains up in the Everest area, specifically up in Namche Bazaar, where they ran the Everest Tenzing Hillary Marathon. We opened a Cultural Heritage Center in memory of my father. Ed Hillary's son did the same in Kumjung. And there were celebrations in Darjeeling, to the north face of Everest, to the base camp of Everest. But of all the places, I'd much rather be at today, on May 29th, marking this 70th anniversary of my father and Ed Hillary's climb of Chomolungma for us Sherpas and Tibetans, and Sagarmatha, as Nepalis know Everest. Now, I couldn't be more happier to be here, in the heart of this community in New York to celebrate this occasion. Some of you may remember a few years ago there was an asteroid that was named in memory of my father. A few years before, an entire mountain range in Pluto was named in his honor. But to have Tenzing Norgay Way named in New York, blessed by a community, is a real touching testament to his impact and the respect of the community 70 years ago, and it continues to build. Like Councilman Shekhar said earlier, my father represented so much. He put the name Sherpa in the dictionary, and he gave us the courage and in some ways the currency that keeps our name alive. But what's more important is how well the community has kept that alive. I won't go much longer except to say that the naming of the street in the heart of New York is actually a journey for each one of us. And we all have our stories of sacrifices that we've all made, to provide for our loved ones, over here, or back home, and for young children to dream big. Just like my father, as you mentioned, son of a yak herder, it took him 7 times to climb Everest. So we must never forget our roots. We must hold to our rich heritage, and we need to tell our own stories. We need to tell our own narratives. I think that's really important. So a few minutes before we got together, I met a group of friends I haven't seen in a long time. And it brought back the time I came here in 1981, when there were no more than a handful of us in the community. We could all fit into one room. I never imagined that today, in my lifetime, I would see the community flourishing the way it does. So I want to thank each one of you for coming here. It means the world to us that you are here to show respect, not just to my father, but also to always remember that the path to success, is not that easy. And to have this symbol in the city of New York, to have a road named after him, is always a reminder, of all of our struggles, and that, it takes time to succeed, and hard work makes it possible. So, Puchiche, Dhanyabad, and I hope to see you around. I think the day is still young with some performances, and there's an important documentary on the environment. Glacial warming is the environmental damage up in the mountains is very high. So anyway, thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Norbhai, Dhamirbai, and Sonamben. Norbhai, for your words that resonate so deeply with all of us about your family, about your father, and how much he has meant to our Nepali community, from Nepal, from the foothills of the Himalayas to Mount Everest, to here, right in Jackson Heights and Elmhurst and Woodside. Before we move on to the next part of the program, I did want to take a minute to recognize two things. First, as has been made clear by Norbhai and myself as well, the story of the Sherpas who have climbed Mount Everest is not told often enough and given enough recognition. As I have always said, there is no summiting Mount Everest without our Sherpas. That can never happen. That will never happen. And let's give them a big round of applause. And in that vein, there have been many Sherpas who have lost their lives, many Nepalis who have lost their lives over the decades by those who have attempted to scale Mount Everest. In their honor, for all they have done and their ultimate sacrifice, I'd ask that we all take a minute of silence in their memory. Please stand, everyone. Thank you all so much. In that moment of silence too, we remember the Sherpas who have lost their lives. We also remember on this Memorial Day too, all of our soldiers and veterans who have lost their lives and paid the ultimate sacrifice as well in the history of this country. Now, today's event would simply not be possible without many individuals and organizations that come together to make it a success. So in addition to Norbhai, Dhamirbai, Sonamben, I'd like to also thank the United Sherpa Association for all of their work. Let's give them a big round of applause. I know the President Themba is here too. Former President Erginbai, former President Chirinben is here too. Thank you all so much. Thank you to the U.S. Nepal Climbers Association. Pazangbai is here too. Let's give them a big, big round of applause. So many of their individuals and their members who have scaled Mount Everest far too many times for us to count. To the U.S. Nepal Climbers Association, to Pazangbai, to all of you, thank you so much for the work you all do every single day. Of course, to the Sherpa Sangh of America, thank you all too for your help in making today possible. And I know the representatives of FIPNA who are here as well, so thank you, FIPNA. And of course, to my predecessor who pushed the bill forward and made sure it was enacted, who couldn't join us today, but is very much with us. Our former council member, Danny Drum. Let's give him a big round of applause as well. Now, a street naming like this would also not be possible, and I always say it, without my incredible staff who work tirelessly to make sure that it's a success every single time. From planning it, working with our community organizations, to the very details of the event itself, including this morning. So I'd like to give a big, big thank you to our district director, Waylai Rice. And we're also joined by our Chief of Staff, Chuck Park. Thank you to both of them and our whole team for making each of the street namings we do such a success. We have the honor today to be joined by several of our elected official colleagues who I am so grateful have come out today, who know how important it is to remember the history of our communities, and who make sure to advocate, whether it's at City Hall alongside me or up in Albany, for our immigrant communities every single day, for our Nepali communities, making sure that our district, our communities have the resources that we need from government in our languages, responding to our needs. So I'd like to bring up first our State Senator and Deputy Majority Leader in the New York State Senate, State Senator Michael Gianaris.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Namaste. I want to say a word first about Shekhar Krishnan, your council member. What a tremendous job he is doing. Let's hear it for Shekhar. He had mentioned he's the first ever Indian American to be elected to city government. And I can tell you, way back when I was first elected, I was the first ever Greek American to be elected in New York. And we have so many firsts. This is the story of Queens, right? I see Stephen Raga is the first Philippine American elected. You'll hear from him shortly, and so many more. But when you are that person, your job as an elected representative is really two jobs. Because you have to do the job, you have to make sure the streets are safe, the schools are teaching, the hospitals are healing. But Shekhar is also representative to the entire city of New York for the South Asian community. And that means he has to be better than everybody else, right? Because everyone looks at him and assumes, well, that's the representative for that community. And that's what they are all about. And he has done a tremendous job setting an example for people who are not as familiar with the community, about the values and the beliefs and the culture that they bring. So Shekhar, thank you for doing that tremendous work. And I got to tell you a few, I'm looking at the video of the pictures of Nepal, and I'm looking at it and say, I want to go there. I want to go see those mountains. I'm Greek, right? My parents are immigrants from Greece. And when I tell people that, they think, oh, that's so nice. You must have been on the beaches and the islands. We were from the mountains of Greece. So when I see the mountains, something in my DNA tells me I want to go visit. It feels like home to me. And a month ago, many of us were celebrating the Nepal New Year, and I was presented with the recognition. There was a big framed photo that included that picture of Everest. So I've been looking at it for the last month and a half, and I just keep thinking to myself, one day we have to set up a trip, Shekhar, and get everybody out there. But for today, this is a glorious day. I want to thank the family of the great Sherpa that we all now know, and not just them, but everyone from this amazing community, which produces so much and is such a valuable part of the Queens borough and county. By the way, the food is amazing. I love my momos. I just had some 2 days ago. And so for me, it's a pleasure to be able to represent this community together with Shekhar and so many other elected representatives. We will be here doing our best to make sure you get what you need in New York City, and part of that is recognition as an important and valuable part of our community, and that's what today is about. So thank you again, Council Member. Thank you to everyone who's out here today on this amazing and auspicious day.
Thank you so much, Senator Gianaris. And you heard it all here first, U.S. Nepal climber. It sounds like we have one more person who wants to summit Mount Everest. But thank you for all you do for our communities, your leadership in Albany, and making sure as the first Greek American representing here in Queens, that the voices of our immigrant communities are heard. Now, it's my special honor to bring up the assembly member of this district here, who is no stranger to our communities, who just held his first API Heritage Festival right here at the Sherpa Temple. A good friend of mine, the first Filipino American ever elected to New York State government, Assembly Member Stephen Raga.
Thank you, Council Member Shaker Krishnan, for always bringing us together, and especially in a day like today, which honors our growing and energizing Nepali community here in Elmhurst, in Queens, and across the city. Yes, like Senator Jayanar said, I'm the first Filipino American to be elected, but I feel like I'm going to more Nepali events than Filipino events. I went to 3 yesterday, 2 the other day, and I'll be here again the whole day for for other festivities. So this is such a growing community that more and more I feel connected to, and I feel more at home. I have maybe too many of this to fit the wall at this point, but this is such an important day. Not just are we honoring and recognizing the importance of our Nepali community and honoring one of your own that has done some things that most, of course, have not even done, feeding and seeing the top of Everest. This is something that, of course, our Nepali community is contributing through heritage, through history, and our growing culture here every day that we see in New York. So much so that I will be joining Senator Gianaris on this legislative session or trip to the top of Everest, I heard, that he's leading. Happy to join. But again, this is such an important day. Congratulations. Thank you, thank you to all our Assembly members, City Council members, state senators who are joining us, and all our elected officials. Thank you again, Councilmember Krishnan, for leading the way on this and making sure that every part of our very diverse communities feel represented, seen, visible, and also uplifted in days like this. Thank you so much, Councilmember.
Guys, can you go back, please? Only the cameraman is here, please. Can you go back? Guys.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Raga.
Guys, can you go back, please?
Now, as we form our expedition now to Mount Everest, there are a few more who can join. Those who speak too long have to summit without oxygen. Otherwise, they can take oxygen with them. So let's see. So next up, we have another great fighter for our communities who made history in her own right as the first dreamer ever elected to office in New York State. Someone who I know also understands the importance of language access, culture, and immigrant rights. Assemblymember Catalina Cruz.
Thank you. I will not be joining you on that climb. No, but congratulations to our Nepali community. No, I had the honor of representing this part of the neighborhood up until about 6 months ago, and I got to work with the temple and the members in the community on numerous things, from cleanups to the pandemic, to just supporting our neighbors. And this is such a beautiful way to recognize who you are, your history, what is important to our Nepali community. And, you know, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal what Mr. Sherpa did to climb all the way to Mount Everest. As I said, I will not be doing that. Find me a smaller mountain, maybe we can join. But I do think that recognizing those folks who make our community proud is very important. It's important to our culture as immigrants. It's important to our children, because I see all of the children here today. They're getting to see how important our culture is. And I want to thank you, Shaker, because this is the second street renaming that has been done under your leadership to recognize cultural importance. Whether it was renaming our street a couple of blocks down for our Bangladeshi community, or for Mr. Sherpa here today. We have, and Little Thailand, it is important that we recognize what's important to immigrant communities. And so I just want to thank you. I'm not going to speak for too long because we want to get to the festivities. We want to see, where is it? We want to see it come down and in all its glory, the name of the street. And so thank you for continuing to uplift our immigrant communities, and thank you to our Nepali community for being there for us when we needed you at the worst time in this neighborhood. You have made this neighborhood so much better simply for being a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Cruz. Thank you for all your great work in Albany. Now, another fighter in Albany, someone who courageously stands up always for our immigrant communities, making sure our voices are heard, making sure the government responds to us and supports us in all the work that we're doing. It's my honor to bring up another good friend, an assembly member from this area as well, Assemblymember Jessica Gonzalez Rojas.
Thank you, Councilmember Krishnan. Namaste. I am so happy and proud to be here on this incredibly auspicious day where we'll be naming the street right here on 75th Street and 41st Avenue, Tenzin Sherpa Way. This is an incredible accomplishment for our Nepalese community and our Himalayan community. I have a dear friend in town with me, my friend Lucy, and I was bragging about how incredibly diverse our community is and how special we are and how the Nepalese community has built power in our community and has created change here in our community. And we were talking about the street naming, and she reminded me that the term Sherpa means a spiritual guide. And that's exactly what Tenzin Sherpa has been, and that's the legacy that he has left. The Sherpas have been a spiritual guide. They have been the North Star of goodness, of achieving greatness, of community contributions, of scaling mountains. I am an avid snowboarder. I've scaled a handful of mountains, but certainly not quite like Mount Everest. So perhaps I'll be joining you on the expedition. We'll see. But it's just really incredible to be here. You all look so amazing. The colors, the contributions, the cultural festivities that we're about to embark on are going to be incredibly special for our community. And I also want to uplift something that Assemblywoman Cruz said. When I was a candidate for elected office, and my district starts just a few blocks up. But when I was a candidate, it was the Nepalese community that reached out and wanted to help, and we paired up and we did food giveaways, and we gave gifts and candy and joy to the Nepalese children. And I worked with so many of the taxi drivers who distributed the food that we were able to collect. And that's exactly what we are as a community. The Nepalese community has come together to ensure that everyone is cared for. And this is why this street naming is so important, because it will solidify the impact and the power and the resilience and the love that you all have given to this community that you are deeply, deeply loved for. So thank you so much. Thank you, Councilmember Shekhar Krishnan, for this incredible, beautiful, special day. And to all the community leaders, I love you. I thank you. You are incredible. And I'm just so here to, so happy to celebrate today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Gonzalez Rojas. Now, I'm very proud to bring up another good friend, a colleague who I work very closely with at City Hall and our council, fighting for our Asian American communities every single day, and fighting especially for our Nepali communities across both our districts, because we're proud to work together to represent in all the borough of Queens and all of this country the largest Nepalese communities right here among both our districts. So I'm very, very proud to now call up Council Member Julie Wan and her son Rex, who's here too.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Shekhar Krishnan. Namaste, Tashdilek. It is so good to see you all. My name is Julie Wan. I represent District 26 next door, representing Long Island City, Sunnyside, Woodside, and Astoria. Can we give a round of applause again to Shekhar Krishnan and his team, Chuck Park, Waylai. I am so incredibly grateful to have an ally like Shekhar, who is the first Indian American to be representing this district, as well as myself, who's the first Korean American. And as you saw, we are continuing to grow in our immigrant communities and representation. In 2016, when I first went to Nepal, to Kathmandu and Pokhara, to Mount Everest Base Camp, there was really nothing else like what I've seen in Nepal to this day. The beauty of your nature, of the Himalayas, as well as the food, the culture, just the community that we continue to have. I am so grateful and honored to be here with the sons of Norga, to Tenzin Norga Sherpa Way, and we are so incredibly grateful to continue to preserve your language, your heritage, your culture, of everything that the Sherpas embody, as well as the mountains themselves. And I look forward to continuing to support you in all that you do in partnership with the council member of this district. Thank you so much for being here, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Wan. It's always a pleasure and honor to work alongside you for our Nepalese communities. Now, we've got a whole day of festivities planned, and I know a very much anticipated unveiling of the street sign too. And there are a few more speakers that we'd like to bring up to recognize from our broader Nepalese community too, who have joined us. It's my honor to bring up now the Nepal Consulate General here in New York, Mr. Bishnu Prasad Gautam. Please come and say a few words.
Thank you, Honorable Shekhar Krishnan, Council Member. Good afternoon to you all. Namaste. Honorable Assembly Members, Honorable Assembly Member from Nepal, Yankila Sherpaju, leaders of Nepali communities, distinguished climbers, diaspora leaders, ladies and gentlemen, namaste and good afternoon to you all in Tasidele. It is indeed a very incredible day, a very beautiful and auspicious day for Nepal and the Nepali community and the entire mountain community. This is a very historic day. The co-naming of the street after the first successful climber of Mount Everest, Tenzin Norgay Sherpa. On behalf of the government of Nepal and that of the Consulate General of Nepal in New York, and on my own behalf, I would like to congratulate New York City Council and especially Honorable Shekhar Krishnan for leading this process and concluding this. It is a great pride for the Nepali community. It is a great pride for Nepal. As he mentioned very well at his speech, that in 1953, on today's day, 70 years ago, Tenzin Norgay Sherpa and Sir Edmund Hillary climbed the Mount Everest together. Sir Edmund Hillary was duly recognized with various medals, awards, and recognition. The world took it very easily, but somewhere Tenzin Norgay was waiting for the true recognition for a long, long time. Although at the government level, government of Nepal, also India, Russia, and some many other countries recognized in a way, but when Sir Edmund Hillary got the title, the knighthood, the other climber of the Mount Everest was left behind. I think, in a way, that day has been compensated by this recognition, that too from in the capital of the world finance and the greatest diversity city in New York, the largest city of the United States. It is a true recognition for what was due for many decades. This is very historic. Today is Mount Everest 70th anniversary, Mount Everest Day. At the same time, it is also Republic Day of Nepal. And at the same time, Memorial Day in the United States. What a coincidence. On this occasion, I would like to congratulate all those mountaineers, all those community members, and especially its initiatives and Shekhar Krishnan, who brought this to a conclusion. Thank you, Honorable Shekhar Krishnan. Thank you, US Nepal Climbers Association. Thank you, Sherpa community, and thank you all assembly members. Last year, New York State made a history by recognizing May 29 as the Mount Everest Day in the state of New York. Today, in this New York City, in this largely diverse Jackson Heights, Queens, we are witnessing another very big and historic and very important day, that of the co-naming, who contributed so much, who was a leader, an inspiration to the world, inspiration not only to the climbers, but many people who set Mount Everest as their dream, as their destination and goal. Therefore, I am truly honored. I feel truly honored for my country. I feel truly honored for Sherpa community and those first climbers. And I thank you all for joining this celebration. I'm really thank you and humble. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Consul General, for coming today, for joining us for all our events in our community. Before we conclude by bringing up all the organizations onto the stage that have organized today's co-naming, we are joined by one more special guest, all the way from Nepal, an assembly member in the Provincial Assembly of the Bagmati province in Nepal, who before was the former Minister of Tourism for the government of Nepal, a former member of the National Assembly, and now a member of Parliament for the Bagmati province in the Nepali Congress, the Honorable Yankila Sherpa. Please come to say a few.
Thank you so much. I just don't have the words to express my gratitude to the State Council, to the City Council, the State Council members, for this great honor you are doing to our historic climber, Mr. Tenzing Norgay Sherpa, who died and who was the first man to set his foot on Mount Everest 70 years ago. As our Consul General just mentioned, as Sir Edmund Hillary has been given the knighthood title, our Tenzing Norgay Sherpa really deserves to get the recognition which this world's economic capital, New York City, is doing. I'm just visiting here and I have a little piece of job in Washington, D.C. to meet some State Council members. But today I'm just taken by surprise. This community of immigrants, this city of New York and the state of Queens, you're doing this great job. You know, I'm really grateful to you, Honorable Shekhar Krishnanji and the State Council members for doing this wonderful job. And now I just would like to bring a few points here, you know. So many of our climbers are here. They have just come here looking for a future. You know, life is not that easy in Nepal. Our climbers, the Sherpas, and many other Nepali communities have shown their way to set their foot on Mount Everest ever since the 70 years. But now we are in trouble. We have this global warming issue. I think the world has a commitment towards doing something for the people and a global responsibility as global citizens to make a global fund to help preserve the Himalayas. So I would like to call upon rich countries like the United States of America who could look after our climbers. And then I have also a message message. You know, today I'm not here sent by the government of Nepal, but I still do represent here a big community of the Bagmati Pradesh. I have a big message. I would like to congratulate our Sherpa Association, the United States Climbers Association of the Mountains, and I would like to thank all these people who are representing the diaspora, the Nepali diaspora. You know, Nepal is a young democracy. United States had the democracy in the 1800 years ago, and India had its democracy 50 years ago, but our democracy has come just about 20 years ago. So we make mistakes, but I think Nepali people are willing to learn, and we need help. We need to, and I have a message for our diaspora people. With the social media and the connectivity, we want, you people have worked so hard and you have contributed as an immigrant in this country, and then someday you come back, you are contributing to the economy back home in Nepal, but we would like you to bring your expertise. You will learn about governance in this part of the world, and which we need to learn. We have a lot of things to learn from you. So today on this occasion, I think rather than giving a long speech, because if I give a long speech, I have to climb Mount Everest too. Yeah, without oxygen. So I gotta end up saying thank you so much to the United States Climbers Association, the Sherpa Association, the Sherpa community, and the other Nepali diaspora who are doing a great job contributing to the economy of Nepal. And we're really looking forward to your contribution in future also. With good expertise, with the skills, we want you to learn from how the United States as community of immigrants have developed to this level. We need to develop too. So our young democracy will pick up. I'm very hopeful. Thank you so much, Nepali community, and our UN Consul General, and the State Council members. Thank you so much for giving Nepal and our hero Tenzing Norgay Sherpa the recognition to name a street after him. This is wonderful. And thank you, and namaste to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Assembly Member, for coming. It's an honor for you to visit today, all of us, and to join our festivities. Now, to conclude today's program before the unveiling of the street sign, I'd like to call up together representatives of the three organizations without whom today would not be possible. Mr. Temba Sherpa, the President of the United Sherpa Association, Mr. Pasang Sherpa, the President of the Heroic U.S. Nepal Climber Association, and Mr. Pasang Dorji Sherpa, the President of the Sherpa Sangh America. Please come on up.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor. The Shaker Krishnans did something historic. So I'd like to thank to Shaker Krishnans and all the members over here. I'd like to thank again to joining in this event. And we have event right now after this. So we are Everest Day celebration going on. You can have a lot of fun and cultural activities. Lots of Nepalese community are supporting in this event. Thank you all again. Thank you.
Namaste. I want to say only one word or few words. I mean 2-3 words. That is what my feeling is like that. Shaker Krishnan is here because of our council member, former council member Daniel Drum, and him. We are here standing on this stage. But behind the scene is Tenzing Norgay Sherpa. So we are so humble, and we are very glad to support every elected personnel here, and even our friend Shaker Krishnan. And we open our hearts so that we will let them step on our head to go up and up, to uplift our society, our community, our queens. So thank you very much, Mr. Shaker.
Dele, Honorable County Member, Council Member Shekhar Krishna, Nepal, Consul General and New Vishnu Prasad Gautam, State Senator, State Assembly Members, Community Presidents, and representatives, ladies and gentlemen, Happy International Appreciation Day, May 29 to all of you. It is my pleasure to welcome to all to this very special audience and Tenzing Norgay Sherpa Way No Coming community ceremony. Today we are gathering to one of the greatest mountains in history, Tenzing Norgay Sherpa. I would like to give special thanks to District 25 Council Member Shekhar Krishna and staff, and are grateful to you. I thank you for all taking this time to join us. Thank you. Tasidele, namaste. हामी नेपाली अमेरिकन भएको हुँदा मेरो केही बनाइहरू नेपाली भाषामा पनि राख्न चाहन्छु। तेन्जिङ नोर्गे शेर्पा एक प्रसिद्ध आरोहण मात्र नभई साहस, दृढ संकल्प र लगनशीलताको प्रतीक हुन्। एक शेर्पाको छोरा, उहाँले हिमाल प्रतिको आफ्नो प्रेम र आफ्नो असाधारण आरोहण कौशलताले संसारभरको मानिसलाई प्रेरित गरेको छ। यही प्रशंसाले हामीले उहाँको नामको स्वरूप यो सडकको नाम तेन्जिङ नोर्गे शेर्पा राख्न प्रेरित गरेका छौं। यो उहाँ प्रतिको सम्मान पनि हो। हामी तेन्जिङ नोर्गे शेर्पाको असाधारण जीवन र उहाँको उपलब्धि सम्बन्धी उत्सव मनाउन आएका छौं। यहाँ उहाँ आफ्नो जीवनकालमा धेरै महत्त्वपूर्ण उपलब्धिहरू हासिल गरे। विशेष गरी विश्वको सबैभन्दा अग्लो हिमाल सगरमाथा शिखरको पाइला टेक्ने सफल पहिलो नेपाली शेर्पा हुनुहुन्थ्यो। पर्वतारोहीको संसारमा तेन्जिङ नोर्गेले उल्लेखनीय योगदानले आजसम्म पनि मानिसहरूलाई प्रेरणा दिइरहेका छन् र उहाँको विरासत अवश्य पनि आगामी पुस्ताहरूको माझमा पनि जीवित रहनेछ भन्न चाहन्छु। तेन्जिङ नोर्गे शेर्पाको असाधारण भावना, सद्भाव, प्रतिबद्धता र पर्वत आरोहीको क्षेत्रमा अग्रगामी कार्यको हामी सधैँ स्मरण गर्न चाहन्छु र एक साहसी जीवन र एक उल्लेखनीय विरासतलाई श्रद्धाञ्जली अर्पण गर्दै आज हामीसँग भेला हुनु भएका सम्पूर्ण महानुभावहरूमा म आयोजकको तर्फबाट र शेर्पा सङ्घ अमेरिकाको तर्फबाट तपाईहरु सबैलाई हार्दिक धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। साथै आज अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय सगरमाथा दिवसको सुवर्ण अवसरमा सम्पूर्ण ज्ञात अज्ञात आरोही प्रति नमन गर्दै सगरमाथा दिवसको हार्दिक मंगलमय शुभकामना व्यक्त गर्दछु र आज मेमोरियल डे पनि पर्न गएको हुनाले मेमोरियल डे को पनि हार्दिक मंगलमय शुभकामना गर्दै मेरो दुई शब्द यही राख्न चाहन्छु। धन्यवाद। थुजित छे टासिकले।
Thank you all so much. And now, in the memory of Tenzing Norgay Sherpa Way, who is behind us today, whose spirit lives on, we will now permanently change the landscape of New York City to always remember Tenzing Norgay Sherpa and our Nepali community. So on that note, I invite you all to come over to the unveiling of the street sign. Thank you all so much. Dhanyavad. Thank you.
Rick doesn't that.
Okay, President,